guys. Sorry about the wait. I am still trying to sort out why my music isn't showing up on the stream. But I am here. I can hear the music. I apologize that you guys cannot. I will sort that out later. It is somewhat frustrating, but I'm here. Also, fancy new stream. Pretty cool, huh? So. Yeah, I spent the afternoon reworking my stream a little bit, as you guys can tell. Yay, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. So yeah, I spent the afternoon working on my stream, and we have some fancy new stuff. Don't have any emotes yet, obviously, because I'm not quite to affiliate yet, but getting there. This is actually my last stream in order to be eligible to apply for the affiliate program. So I'm kind of excited about that. yeah, I am. I figured it was appropriate. Figured it was very appropriate for the evening. So I do apologize for the lack of tunes, but I am here. So I will hopefully get that sorted out at some point. I would love to hear your thoughts on the new stream layout. It's something that I acquired today and have been messing with literally all afternoon. So I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. This is going to be a slightly different format stream. I am planning to read a little bit. We have 2 more chapters to read in Prelude to War, so we're going to finish that. And then I'm going to read a little bit. Oh, thanks, Harpax! Also, I love those emotes. Lord of the Hold, one of my mods. Those are appropriate. If anybody's curious about where I got my stream layout from, you can check out my credits box on my About page on my Twitch. All the info is in there. I got both the stream layout and my background, actually, from artists on Etsy. And I don't know if it's... Oh, also, cool little thing over that shoulder. See how the wall is like animated? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wanted something that was sci-fi and purpley, so I found that, and I really, really liked it. Since wanted something nice behind me, so I think that works very well. And I do have some emotes coming for whenever I get affiliate, but we will see. Very close. This is my last stream in order to be able to do that. So I am super excited about that. Give me just 1 second here. Alright. I don't know if we'll have Gio or anybody popping in, but I hope so. Hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of people. So, oh, also, for those who may have... Yes, I actually have somebody working on several for me already, but thank you. I will keep that in mind. Definitely keep that in mind. I always like to support small artists when I can. That's why I went to Etsy for my stream packages, because I wanted to see if there was anything that I would like. So, thank you. I will definitely keep that in mind. Also, for anybody who missed any of my previous streams, the VODs only stay up for 14 days, so I have been exporting them to YouTube, and I did link my YouTube down below. So if you want to check that out for any of the streams that you missed, please do so. Hi, Aaron. By the way, thank you for the follow earlier. I really appreciate that. I did see that. Very much appreciated. Alright, and welcome to the channel and cozy story time. Hope you enjoy your stay. We're about to get started, so I hope everybody has water, snacks, a blanket if you want it. Yeah, get cozy, because we're gonna read. And then we might write some. So, yes. Alright. Also, if 8-Bit Sala is in the chat, I would like to thank them for their follow. I did see that earlier, so thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. There we go. So I'm just pulling up my chapters here and we'll get ready to roll. We have 2 more chapters left in Prelude to War. They're relatively short. For those of you who were here last time on my stream on Wednesday, you will remember that the chapters were pretty short. So we should be able to get through them in maybe an hour, maybe less. We will see. Alright. So I hope everybody's cozy, because we're going to dive right in. I decided to read chapter 4 on Wednesday just so that it wasn't a super massive cliffhanger, but it still was a little bit of one. So get ready, because we're diving right in. Alright. Okay. Chapter 5. Callista kept running as best as she could with the injuries she had. She could feel others behind her catching up to her as she continued to head towards Einar's ship. She made it to the clearing ahead, but found her path cut off. 2 other Sith adepts stood there, grinning as they ignited their blades in unison. She stopped in her tracks and ignited her own lightsabers. But the time the 2 bought was enough for the others behind her to catch up. Oh, this is going to be fun, one of the 2 in front of her said as they closed in. You're going to beg for a quick death by the time we're through, the second said as he brought his blade up. Are you prepared to die, little one? Only a fool speaks of absolutes before the facts are made clear, a voice came out of the darkness behind the 2, causing them to spin around where they stood to see a blue-silver lightsaber appear from the shadows. It's him! As one, son, Stefan Card said as he and Dylan lunged into the group, both of them taking the 2 out at the same time before the rest of the adepts behind Callista came charging in. She spun on her heel and immediately bisected one of her assailants, Dylan coming in neatly next to her to take out the one that meant to surprise her from the left. When she looked to see Master Card, she was astonished at the speed at which her teacher was moving. He had always given her an equal level in their sparring, but the way in which he fought told her just why her teacher was one of the greater swordsmen in the order. When all was said and done, just mere moments after the 2 had arrived, the remaining adepts were either struck down or fleeing into the wilderness. Are you all right? Stefan asked as he put his lightsaber back on his belt and walked over to where Dylan was helping Callista. I've seen better days, Master, she said wearily as she thanked Dylan for the support. Master Einar is still in the temple. Rest easy, Stefan said as he looked at Dylan. Take her to the ship. I'll go find him. Einar struggled, limping through the forest. His suit was in pieces, burned and charred, his eyes stung, and the overwhelming pain of the leaves and brush scraping his skin almost made him pass out, and he wanted to throw up. The realization that he had just murdered that Sith, even though he had killed people in battle. He killed an unarmed man, a man unable to defend himself. He shuddered as he continued on his trek. The ship was close, but he needed to hurry. He picked up the pace, burying his anger and pain deep down as he ran like the wind, not thinking as he focused solely on getting to the ship. He didn't see Stefan there until he ran right into him. They both collapsed onto the ground. Stefan rolled away from him and quickly got up onto his knees, laying his hand on Einar's chest. My God. Einar fought to keep his eyes open as he looked up at his lifelong friend, and then the world swirled into nothingness and he finally could sleep. The extent of her injuries finally caught up with her as Dylan helped her onto the ship. She stumbled, her unsteady steps causing her to bump into a bulkhead. Sliding down, she drew her knees up and buried her face in the remains of her cloak. The tears came, and then there was no holding them back. She didn't care about what the others thought right now. Her sobs echoed through the corridors of the ship, making Dylan feel helpless. Dropping to his knees beside her, he pulled her shaking form into his arms, offering what solace he could. He knew it wasn't much. Her head came up, and she looked past him like he wasn't even there. He nudged her gently. "Callista, what is it? What's wrong?" She didn't hear him. She only stared at the wall as if she was looking straight through it. She scrambled to her feet, rushing from the ship. What she saw made her stop short. "No, please, no." Master Card entered the clearing just then, Einar's limp body in his arms. Dylan started to ask a question but stopped. He didn't react fast enough as Callista ran towards them. His clothing was torn and charred, his skin red and angry looking from the burns. She dropped to her knees as Stefan laid him gently on the grass. Her tears fell across his hot skin, causing it to steam. Even in her weakened state, she was doing her best to heal him, for it was he who had saved her life. It was all Dylan could do to gently pull her away without injuring her further. Stefan rose, carrying Einar to the Valiant, while Dylan led Callista back aboard the shuttle. He laid her light form down on one of the bunks, smoothing the hair away from her bruised face. The extent of her injuries surprised him, for in scanning her through the Force, he discovered massive internal injuries. By any right, she should be dead. She tossed restlessly, sensing Einar's pain. Dylan gently placed a hand on her bruised forehead, his eyes glistening. Her movement stilled as she slipped into the healing trance. It was the best he could do for her until they returned to Catan. "How is she?" Stefan asked when he calmed the shuttle after he had secured Einar in the medical bunk on the Valiant. "Her injuries are worse than we first thought," Dylan told him as they started to lift off together. Stefan was roughly familiar with the Valiant's controls, but he was able to bring the ship up along an exit vector. "We'll contact Master Azad and have her meet us at the house," Stefan said as they finished their course corrections. "Einar is in about the same condition, perhaps worse from the burns he sustained, but I think he'll be able to recover from most of those." "My lord," Bane turned to see Amron kneeling on the stone floor. "Speak." "The number that remained on Korriban have been destroyed," Amron said as he kept his head low. "Card?" "Along with his son and another, my lord," his warrior told him. "They were able to retrieve the girl who had arrived there." "I told him that it was a dangerous undertaking, one that he wasn't fully prepared for yet," Bane said as he turned again to look at the snowfall that was coming through the window. The climate on Renvar was one that Bane found appealing. "Is everything ready?" "Very soon, my lord." Oops, sorry about that. Images, sounds, sensations, all at once overwhelmed Einar's thoughts as he lay in the medbunk. He twisted and turned, tears rolling down his face as he lived the final moments of his battle with the Sith over and over, and every time it hurt more. He could see Ari, Stefan, Cal, Morgan, Bryn, all standing around him and shaking their heads, their disappointment clear. He snapped back to awareness and looked around. He was covered in sweat and tears. The pain wasn't as bad, as IVs were connected and devices showing his life signs were bolted to the wall. The machines beeped and his head hurt from the sound of it all. As the feeling of dread crept up his spine, he knew this was just the beginning of something worse. The room seemed to tilt around her as she opened her eyes for the first time in days. Of course, that was only her mind, as she found herself to be flat on her back. Her whole body felt like it was one giant bruise. As she turned her head, she noticed Manna sleeping in a chair next to her. Her friend and teacher looked exhausted, lines of worry creasing her face even in sleep. The force was there once more, surrounding her. Reaching cautiously into the force, she gently prodded the older woman. Manna's head came up in surprise, and she rose before gently wrapping Callista in a hug. Her face shone with joy for an instant before she turned her attention to the room's only other occupant. His skin glistened from a dip in the bacta tank, and his burns were slowly beginning to fade. Though his body was healing, Callista shuddered when she touched him through the force. His sense was alien to her. She could still feel him as she had known him before, but he would never be the same again. His spirit had darkened considerably, and she struggled to keep her reaction in check. It was as if someone had snuffed out his bright presence and replaced it with a smoldering ember. Touching his mind one last time, she withdrew. She did not know what had happened to cause him to change so dramatically, but she knew that it was something he must deal with in his own time, and she had her own demons to confront. She still did not know what had possessed her to go off across the galaxy and right into the Sith stronghold. She might never know, but there were things from her battle on Corellia that nudged her in that direction. She had gone into it knowing that she may not come out alive, and yet she had still gone. Manna slipped out of the room and found Stefan. Callista is awake, but she's still weak. I know you want to talk to her, but keep it short if you can. She needs her rest. Stefan nodded and then asked, "And what of Master Algernon?" Manna shook her head. "His wounds are healing, but he has yet to wake." Nodding, Stefan followed her back into the room, pausing to lay his hand on Einar's shoulder as he passed. Callista had glanced up when they entered, but now she turned her back to him, and he could see her shoulders shaking as she cried silently. Now, Stefan said as he pulled her into a hug. "It's okay. Master, You couldn't know what was going to take place," Stefan said as he held her gently, "but we'll talk about it at length later, okay?" Callista nodded and looked over at Einar's form lying on the bed across the room. "What of Master Algernon?" Stefan looked in that direction and his head dropped a bit. "He's going to need extra attention. It'll take some time for him to recover, I feel, but you need to rest. You've been through quite an ordeal and you're still recovering from it physically. When you're better, we'll set up some quarters for you." "Where exactly are we, Master?" she asked as she looked around the room. "It's a medical facility that supports most of the townships in the area here in Catan," he told her as he laid her back down gently. "Master Azad has been taking care of both of you. Now rest." Chris Tianjin was waiting in the hallway when Stefan came back out and started to walk with her towards the turbo lift. "Is he as bad as I'm feeling?" she finally asked when the lift started moving. "I don't want to assume just yet," Stefan told her as they stood in the lift. "Hardly any adepts or warriors were left there on Korriban. They've moved to a different location. We need to inform the watchmen to be more cautious." "Agreed," Christian said as the lift reached the ground level. 4 days had passed since she arrived back on Catan. Callista was still recovering from her injuries, but she was well enough that Stefan had moved her from the medical center. She was still brought to tears when she thought about what had happened on Korriban. She spent the better part of the day in meditation, but calm still eluded her. A gentle knock came at the door to her room, and she looked up to find Stefan standing in the doorway. "Still concerned?" he asked as he stood there. She nodded. "I honestly can't figure out why I headed there, but I felt drawn." She shrugged and scooted over as he came to sit next to her on the bed. "I warned you, Callista," Stefan said as he walked over before sitting next to her. "I knew you didn't have the skills needed for something like this. Now you know why I said it." She couldn't look at him for a minute. "I know, She paused. "I felt that it was the only way that I could find the answers I was looking for." And did you find them? He asked as he looked at her. Only some. She turned to face him again. She looked like she was waiting for a reprimand. You know you went against the better judgment of some of the council, Stefan stated as he stood up. There should be atonement, but it won't happen now. Not here. He looked out the window of the single room. But I do ask if he had learned something from this. She looked down, thinking, it goes back to what you said before. Not everyone is meant to be a warrior. Exactly, he told her. If you had voiced your concerns to me, we might have been able to find a way to get those answers. He sighed as he kept looking outside. As I told you, I believe your skills would be sorely needed. She sighed as well, mostly at her own stubbornness. What do you want me to do? For now, rest, he told her. Some of us will be returning to Coruscant, but the majority will remain here and on Chandrila. I need you to continue in your medical studies for the moment when you feel ready to proceed. What about the council? Should I speak with them? He shook his head. We've not spoken about the situation yet. There have been more urgent matters that have required our attention. He didn't even have to say it. She knew what he was talking about. She shuddered as she remembered the feeling she had gotten from Aenor a few days ago. And my punishment? Aye, that too, Stefan said, knowing her thoughts. For the moment, the consensus is a sort of probation, he told her. I ask, though, that you don't take it personally. We still need you, Callista. She glanced up at him. Probation? What does that mean exactly? You're restricted on your travel. To be more precise, you're grounded here in Edmonton, Stefan told her. It won't be for long, however. I feel that we'll all be called up soon. Her face fell at the announcement. What about my healer training? You will continue that here, he said. Master Azad is staying here, and I have already secured copies of General Din's journals for you. She nodded, and then asked, How's the situation with the Senate? That brought another sigh from Stefan as he turned back around. General Din and I present our thoughts before the Advisory Council. Senator Kainla and a few others walked out of the meeting. The Bothans? They never wavered on their desire for mobile suit technology, he told her. Aenor discovered that Darth Bane captured an armed prototype. The Bothans might be involved. Bane? Even though her voice was low, the shock was clear. How is he mixed up in all this? The answer to that question still eludes me, Stefan told her, but the fact that he is involved concerns me. She nodded. You said you had copies of Master Jin's journals for me? He pulled a set of data pads out of his cloak and handed them to her. She smiled and set them down next to her. They'll keep me busy for a while, at least. She rose and bowed solemnly to him. Fair morning, Master Card. And to you. You're still welcome at the house when you need a break. The next few weeks seemed to pass very slowly. She knew that the council had every right to restrict her travel after what she had done, and for that she was not angry. She just hated being cooped up. She spent a great deal of her time wandering to the village of Edmonton. It was very peaceful and calming. The natural beauty of Edmonton and the surrounding area was tangible in the force, and it provided her focus to continue her studies. Ari's journals were definitely not light reading. They were filled with numerous experiences as well as myriad healing techniques that Callista had never even heard of. Must be specific abilities of the Phoenix, she thought. There were, however, some techniques that she could learn from Ari's journals. These she practiced until she had mastered them as best she could. Many of them helped to speed her own recovery. I'm going to pause there because that's the end of the chapter. I'm going to actually read chat a little bit. Megagenic, thank you for your question. I appreciate that. I've actually had several people ask me if I have considered doing that as a career. I haven't actually thought about it, but it's kind of something that I do on the side, I guess. So there's that. It's fun, honestly. I do have a hard time with male voices, but I am definitely making an attempt. So if you see me like gesturing or something like that when I'm voicing, it's because I'm trying to get into the right vocal range and things like that. So it's a little challenging. but definitely something that I'm trying to work on, if not for a career, just for a hobby. It's fun. I like reading, and I do enjoy sharing my stories, especially in this format. I feel like it helps people get more kind of drawn in, if that makes any sense. For anybody that's new in the stream, you can feel free to ask questions about the story that we're reading by using the story fact command. Any questions at all are fine. These are fan fictions. So they are based in the Star Wars universe, but outside of that, it's kind of my own little corner of the universe. I originally started writing with a group of friends when I was in high school, and now it's just me. So these are some of the earlier stories when we were still writing as a group, and so now with some of the more recent stuff, I am pretty much solo writing, which can be really challenging. So it's taking me a while to get through some of the more recent material, but it's a good challenge. It's really helping me expand my skills as a writer. And obviously I can't publish these, I can't sell them, obviously, because they're fan fictions, but I write for fun, for my own enjoyment, and to share them with people who would enjoy them. I feel that as much as I get enjoyment out of them and fulfillment out of writing them, I think that anybody else that's reading them or listening to me read them would hopefully have the same feeling when reading or listening to them. So at least that's my hope. So Alright. Get to the next chapter here. Just keep in mind that this is the final chapter in Prelude to War. These early stories are really short, so something to keep in mind. The stories do tend to get longer and more involved as they progress. So the chapters here are just really short. Alright. Chapter 6. Callista sat there talking over her experience with Andrea. It was an exercise in dealing with her feelings, but it was interrupted when she started hearing the sound of something ancient coming through the rooms of the card home. It sounded like something ancient, but the music that came filled her with so much emotion. She wanted to go find the source, but Andrea held her back. Where's that coming from? She glanced at Andrea, who laid a hand on her arm. From the garden. Daddy is playing. It's beautiful, yet so sad. Her eyes filled with tears from what she was picking up through the force. It's the way he meditates, Andrea told her. He lets the force guide not only his thoughts and decisions, but the music at the same time. Listen closely, for you'll never hear the song again. Nodding, she sat back down, sinking slowly into the force, and just let the music carry her. We never disturb him when he's like this, she told Callista. Even the flute. It was a gift that his mother had given him, made from the center of a lael tree. I've never heard anything so beautiful before, and yet so haunting. Andrea nodded again. It's different every single time. He said something about a lesson when he contacted me? Andrea shrugged. I knew he was thinking about one, but then he started walking through the gardens. I guess he decided he needed to meditate. He'll probably be at the waterfall. All right. Callista paused a moment. I just feel a little out of place now, I guess. Come on, Andrea said with a smile as she led Callista into the study, stopping before the display of the lightsabers that her father kept in the room. Hi, Tubba! She rose and followed, a look of mild confusion on her face. I know my father's big on history. We all are, Andrea said as she pulled one lightsaber off the display stand, a sudden twinge of emotion across her face as she did so before passing it to Callista. This one really has a history. It was one Callista had seen before. That's Welt's, isn't it? Close, Andrea said as she gestured to where Welt's lightsaber laid on its own stand. The design is similar. This belonged to a man called Mikos Regalia. If memory serves, he died fighting the Yuuzhan Vong? Andrea shook her head. No, he was still on the Jedi Council before my parents were married. Callista was really starting to look confused. He served on the council, but in secret. Andrea closed her eyes for a moment. He was hiding his true identity as a Sith Lord. Callista's breath left her in a rush like someone had punched her. Her voice was only a whisper. What? It's something that has always concerned Daddy, Andrea said as she put the saber up. He killed Regalia before I was born, so I only know what he told me. Why would he hide his identity like that? I don't know. That's what has my father concerned about Bane. He's been able to challenge the Order before and escape. He mentioned something about my skills being needed soon, but he wouldn't say why. There used to be a saying, Andrea told her. There are always two Sith, a master and an apprentice, but we've been seeing more of them now, and Daddy wonders if Bane isn't building things up to how it used to be thousands of years ago. Callista frowned as she tried to understand what Andrea was trying to tell her. I sense it too. There's going to be a battle. When I was on Korriban, I noticed that there were a lot of Sith. Precisely what I was afraid of, a voice said behind them. They turned to see Stefan standing in the doorway. Callista blushed slightly, not having heard him come in. Good day, Master Guard. I guess you know why I had said those things earlier? He asked her. She nodded. I do, Master. We're meeting on Coruscant again later on, Stefan told them both. With events the way they are, with the Sith as well as more political matters, the New Republic will be fighting one front of this war while the Jedi fight another. Sounds familiar, Callista said, remembering the Clone Wars. Aye, Stefan said. I feel that way myself. Why do these things tend to happen in cycles? She asked. History has a habit of repeating itself when people forget it, Stefan told them both. This is just another time where that's happened. Stefan walked slowly into the room where Einar lay resting. Feeling better? Einar looked up from the datapad he was reading. Hello, Stefan. Yes, the Bacta has healed most of my burns. Now it's just up to time and the Force. Stefan smiled briefly and then pulled up a chair before sitting down opposite his friend just as Callista entered the room. He crossed his legs and leaned back. Come on in. She walked slowly into the room, her robes pulled tightly around her as she pulled up a chair and sat down. I think it's time we hear the whole story, Callista, Stefan said. Care to begin? She nodded and took a deep breath. I knew that there were things that weren't right after Corellia. I felt drawn to Korriban, like there was something there. Stefan nodded and then placed his feet on the floor before leaning forward and studying her closely. Going alone to Korriban was a foolish move. Not many Jedi can pull that off. She looked down and blushed, ashamed. I know. So how many Sith were there when you arrived? Stefan asked. Callista thought some more. Around 20, I think? Stefan nodded and then looked at Einar, hoping for a different number. What about you? Einar pushed a button on the bed and waited a moment as it lifted him into a sitting position. Well, when I got there, there were 4, maybe 5 guarding the entrance and another 2 inside along with the Sith Lord, so I guess 10 tops? Stefan stood and paced around the room, stopping by the window. That sounded much like the information the Watchman had given him. The Sith were leaving Korriban, but where to? That Sith Lord, what can you tell me about him? Stefan asked, turning back towards Callista. He was strong, physically and in the Force. He was able to block my connection and kept me there for days and brought me out of my cell for lessons, she said, the memories sending a chill down her spine. Lessons? Stefan asked. looking at her as she mentioned that. Anna also looked up, puzzled. Blocked your connection to the Force? Are you sure that there weren't any Yasomiri? Callista looked at Einar first. If there were, I definitely didn't see any. It's possible, Stefan said, turning his gaze to Einar. It takes immense focus and self-discipline. Einar thought about that, closing his eyes and traveling back to the place on Korriban. His memories swirled around him, but he couldn't see any Yasomiri. Plus, that would have blocked the Sith. He made a mental note to look into it later. The archives held much information on the old ways. Those lessons you mentioned, Stefan asked again. Callista shuddered as she thought back. He had me brought out once a day and fought me, injured me, and he tried to anger me or make me lash out in hate. But he failed, and without the Force, I couldn't heal myself. At least you survived that ordeal, Stefan said, stroking his chin, before he looked at Einar, and his gaze was filled with intrigue and mistrust. What about you? Einar gathered his feelings close, careful not to give anything away, but thinking back to the Sith Lord filled his being with cold, and his head pulsed with ice. Stefan picked up on this and watched him closely. He was powerful, way more powerful than any Sith I've faced. When I got there, I killed one of his apprentices and then got into a fight with him. He was strong, and his body was half machine, so he had more brute strength than I did. But I bested him in the end. I got lucky. Stefan looked at him, gazing down on him like he would a student who wasn't being totally honest. In my experience, old friend, there's nothing called luck. Stefan moved away from the window and headed towards the exit. Then I guess it was fate, Einar said, almost whispering, but Stefan just kept on walking. Care to stay here, Callista? Look after him? A few minutes, maybe. I was hoping to get some rest myself, actually. Stefan nodded, but ignored Einar and then walked out of the room. Callista moved over to Einar's bed and stretched her senses out towards him, scanning him for injuries and to see if he was having any discomfort. Einar looked up at her and spat out, "Leave me." She looked at him startled, and then nodded. "Yes, master." She turned around and then walked out into the hallway, leaving Einar alone with his thoughts. Dun dun dun. Okay. I know. Super dramatic. Hi, Ivory! And that is the end of Prelude to War. So yeah. Like I said, the chapters are quite short because these are the early stories. I'm just gonna check the time here. So, my thought for the rest of stream was to do a little bit of focused writing, but since you guys can't hear the music, I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't know. What do you guys think? I can't do polls right now, but let me know what you think. I do have another I have a one-shot story that comes after this one that I could read, or I could just do a little bit of focused writing. Whatever you guys think. I am trying to work on one of the more recent stories, so that's what I was thinking about doing. Welcome in, Ivory. Alright. So, if you guys would like me to read the next story, it's a one-shot. If you'd like me to read that, I can. For that, you can put ones in chat, or if you would, or if you think that I should do some focused writing, put twos in chat. That's about all I can do right now. I don't know why my polls aren't working. I'll have to get that sorted out eventually. So, 1 for some more reading, or 2 for some focused writing. Or we could just chat. That would work too. Whatever you guys are in the mood for. Oh, and yes, I'm totally repping Stay Alive. Yes, welcome, Tubba. It's good to see you. right. Excuse me. Yes. Yay! Yes, that's exciting. I know that you've been unable to join us for a little while, so it's really good to see you. Really glad that you could join us this evening. I am currently planning to stream. Okay. Yeah, I haven't really sorted that out yet. So, currently I stream every other Sunday and every Wednesday from 7 to 9. I am also planning to do a Saturday in there at some point, probably around the middle of the month. Haven't figured out exactly where, but that's my idea. As far as writing goes, yeah, we could work on that. I probably won't share my screen because it would be massively spoilery. But yeah, I could kind of talk you guys through what I am working on story wise, if that would help. All right, so let me close that out. Oh, I'm super sorry about the washout. Give me a second. All right. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have input? One's in chat if you would like me to read more. Two's in chat if you would like me to discuss my writing process. Or maybe you guys can help me come up with some ideas. That would be pretty cool, actually. So, curious to see what you guys are interested in. Also, I am looking over there because there's Discord and things over there. I'm trying not to let it distract me too much, though. Anybody else have any input? I'm really curious. Alright. Alright then. Let's swap to our writing screen. Also, this is going to be a kind of a big reveal for some people. For those who don't know, Celia, who is in chat right now, it has been working on some emotes for me. I can't use them yet in stream, or in chat anyway, but she has been working on some really cute emotes for me, and this is the first one. There we go. That's our focus kitty. That is the first of the emotes that she did for me, and it's adorable. Yes. Hi, Celia. So currently I have 3 emotes that she has done for me, and I will be keeping the other 2. Yes, I will be keeping the other 2 under wraps until I can debut them in chat. Hopefully before the end of this week. We will see. I'm not sure how long the affiliate process takes. Yes. Yes. Okay. Alright then. So I have my current story pulled up that I have been working on. I've actually been working on this story for I'm not actually sure. Probably 4 to 6 years. I put it down for a while. and I just picked up writing again actively probably Thanksgiving of last year, I think. Um, so, and that was also rough. It was a year or two before that I had pretty much gotten to the point where I was writing solo. I used to write with a group of 5 to 6 people, and now it's just me. So it's a little challenging to really come up with scenarios and that kind of stuff. And let me tell you, writing bad guys is really, really hard. I've had actually a little bit of help with that. I have a really hard time getting myself into that like bad guy headspace. And the interesting thing with most people that you would consider to be a bad guy, like especially in this particular instance, there some of them aren't necessarily bad people. This story in particular is called Steps into the Past. It is the Steps into the Past. It is the fourth story in the fourth series, actually. The series is called A Daughter's Quest, and it focuses on a character called Marin, and basically starts when she is 5. The series starts when she's about 5 or 6, and in this current story, she's about, I think, 16 or 17. I'm trying so hard not to give you spoilers. You know how hard that is. So, let's see if I can give you a really quick summary of her arc without giving away a bunch of spoilers. Oh, let's see. So, her first story is called Train Your Daughter. It actually has a Mandela title, which I cannot pronounce, but I'm just gonna call it Train Your Daughter because it's a little bit easier. There's a Mandalorian proverb that I'm actually gonna find it for you. 1 second, because I can't remember the exact wording myself either. Let's see. Sorry, I'm split screening. Okay. Oh, whoops. It's not. Oh man, don't ask me to do math. Please don't. Okay, so Marin's arc, which is the one that I'm working on right now, is called A Daughter's Quest. The first story is the English translation is of a Mandalorian proverb which reads, "Train your sons to be strong, but train your daughters to be stronger." Okay. She is discovered on Corellia at the age of 5 by a Mandalorian bounty hunter. And the first story deals with her training and kind of upbringing. I mean, she was a stray rat, you know. So the first story deals with that. It's okay, demon. Welcome in. Welcome in. So the first story deals with her her discovery by this Mandalorian bounty hunter and her early training with him. He eventually adopts her as his daughter, and discovers that she has ability with the Force and arranges for her to receive training. And so the whole first story spans about I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years. I think she's about 10 or 11 maybe by the end of that story. And then the second story is, it's really short. It never actually got finished. It's called To Honor the Departed, where they're just trying to figure out what happened with her father, and how to proceed from there. And she's trying to figure out a way that she can, honor his memory later, maybe. Because he was a fixture in her life for her early life. And then the third story is called The Warrior's Heart. It actually picks up after events of another story that I wrote in called Age of Darkness. There's specific chapters. So The Warrior's Heart focuses a lot on Marian's later training and different trials that she goes through as she prepares for knighthood, actually. And then the story that I'm working on right now is called Steps into the Past. She's about, I think, 16 or 17 and steps into the past. The time is a bit fluid, I guess, but I would assume she's about 17, and she has attained knighthood following her Jedi training. She has completed her Verdgoten, which for a Mandalorian, for those who are unfamiliar, a Verdgoten is it's similar to the trials that one would go through to become a Jedi, actually. But it's more, for a Mandalorian, it tests their knowledge and their skills, but also, everything that they know, and it's not necessarily like, it's not really a controlled thing. For hers, she, I don't know how spoilery this is, so she was tasked with something that was rather heavy for hers, and she manages to complete it. It's definitely a challenge. And so Steps into the Past picks up after, after she's been through her trials for knighthood, after she's been through her Verdgoten, and she actually has an opportunity to kind of do an exchange program with the Katani Marines. For those who don't know and haven't really been around, the Katani people and culture and all of that stuff, completely fan created. It's not anywhere in Star Wars lore. It's completely fan created. It is a culture created by myself and the friends that I used to write with. It's very much, I think, Japanese in influence. Very, very formal, very formal, very polite society. And so she has an opportunity. It's kind of a thing that her mentor and her teacher Stefan kind of come up with. She's not really sure about it. Honestly, she's like, but I thought I was over here doing this. Well, no, you're going to go over here and you're going to do that for a while. Oh, okay. So, Steps into the Past is really dealing with her experiences with, basically joining the Marines. She's like, okay, so I'm doing this now. Oh okay. So, I mean, and I can never join the military myself, so, I guess this is kind of my way of living vicariously through my character. I don't know. Keep in mind that it's probably not accurate or as accurate as it could be. It is a fan fiction, but it allows her an opportunity to interact more with the Marines and learn more about her father, because he actually was a Katani Marine for a time, before he actually became a Mandalorian. So she gets to learn a little bit more about him. And oops, I did not just do that. Oh, I just closed one of my documents. This is not good. Goodbye. There we go. Fortunately, it's in Google Drive and all the changes are saved. That makes me happy. Alright. Thank you for the shout out for Demon Harpex. I really appreciate that. That's interesting that you would mention that, Megagenic. I intentionally write my characters as having, what's the word? Especially Marin. I have really tried to write her as, oh man, I'm trying to think of the right word here. Words are hard today, apparently. So I'm definitely trying to think of the right word. But Marin, oh man, I started writing her as a character probably, I would say, turn her 15 years ago. It's been a while. Her arc's been hanging around a long time. She is definitely not infallible. She has her own hangups. She gets into trouble a lot. She gets in over her head a lot. And that's kind of on purpose. A lot of people, I've heard a lot of people say that, I mean, I write in various spheres. I used to write on a role-playing site or two, and various other venues for role-playing. I've seen a lot of people kind of get upset about the fact that I write a Mandalorian Force user. They think that that's completely broken and overpowered, but I disagree, honestly. I think that especially in Marin's case, she had a very difficult childhood and she's had to deal with some pretty heavy stuff growing up. So I think that has really changed her a lot, and that she's been able to work through a lot of that, and she's had to learn some pretty hard lessons, honestly. It's, I mean, it's kind of like in life, sometimes you have to learn stuff the hard way, and for Marin, that tends to happen a lot because she is incredibly stubborn. So I guess writing her in particular is kind of not really cathartic, but it, especially with some of the more recent stuff, it has really helped me kind of work stuff out in my own head, if that makes any sense. It's not really journaling in the standard sense, but kind of working through different portions of the story and figuring out how something's going to work has actually helped me sort out stuff in my own head. Things I might be dealing with at work, or just interpersonal things. So it's been really, it's been kind of eye-opening for me to really delve into Marin's kind of psyche and figure out why she is the way that she is. I mean, I know a lot more that I'm sharing with you guys because I don't want to drop a whole bunch of spoilers. But I think that Marin is honestly kind of a reflection of, maybe in a grander sense, of similar struggles that I've had to deal with in my life. So it's been really good for me to be able to work through that in a creative space, if that makes sense. So the chapter that I am working on right now, lots of combat. And I am not very good at that. So I've actually been sitting on this chapter for probably 6 months. It's lots of combat. So at this point, she's been with the Marines for, I'd say, about a year, give or take. And so she's, really gotten to the point where she works well with the Marines in her squad and in her battalion, and she's come to trust them, and she's actually learned a lot about her father's past as well, which has been interesting. let's just put it that way. But it's been good for her to kind of understand, what kind of background that he came from, because he was part of the Katani Marines when he was younger. So please feel free to ask me questions. You can do so by either typing them directly in the chat, or you can use the story facts command. Either one is fine. Love to answer questions if there's something that you're curious about that I haven't touched on, and I will try not to drop massive spoilers. So, really trying to not drop spoilers because I hate spoilers. So, ask away. Oh, sorry. Camera's being... Sorry about that. Please don't be shy about asking questions. I know that there are quite a few of you who are not here for the first few streams, so definitely feel free to ask questions about the stories that we've been reading, or anything that I may have mentioned in passing for the story that I'm currently working on. I did try to post links to my YouTube, which has all of my previous VODs. So if you missed a stream, you can go catch up over on my YouTube. Celia, that does not apply to the story. That is an invalid question. Go ask your mother. Telva asks, while set in the Star Wars universe, do you find yourself limiting the stories or characters to known tech items or gear and locations, or are you drawn to create some new or unseen things for your particular series? That's a great question, actually, and I sort of touched on it earlier. So, so like I said, I have been writing Star Wars fanfic for over 20 years. I originally started writing back in high school, and there was a group of about 5 or 6 of us. It's been a while. At this point, it's just me, but we definitely have pulled in some non-Star Wars things. Anybody familiar with Gundam would recognize the mobile suits. That is totally not a Star Wars thing, but it's something that we have been pulling into our little corner of the universe for the last 20 years. So it's kind of like rooted into the story now, and it would be really hard to pull it out, and it would be just strange because it's so like ingrained in the story and how things have been written that it would be very weird to kind of pull that out now. I've never really, I actually enjoy not sticking to canon, because the whole point of fan fiction or role playing or just writing creatively in the sense that I do is to explore things that you wouldn't normally. So we've pulled in the mobile suits from Gundam. That wasn't me, but I kind of continued that from one of my other fellow writers. So mobile suits from Gundam. The planet, actually both of the planets that are mentioned frequently, Catan is completely fan created by my fellow writer. I will use his character name, Stefan Card. I had actually known him for a really long time. He was the one that came up with the planet of Catan and the culture and the history, and he actually put a lot of work into it. Like there's history and lore. There's there's information about their religion. It's kind of sprinkled throughout all of the stories, and so there's the planet Catan and its history and culture, and then Tanagus 5, which is the planet. It's the fourth moon in the Tanagus system, which I'm pretty sure that's not a canon Star Wars system. I tried looking it up one time. I don't think it exists. So, Tanagus 5 is the forest moon where Marin lives with her father. It's kind of on the outer edge of the Katani territories. The Katani people, it's a very kind of Japanese influenced culture and society. They are ruled by a monarchy, actually. So they have a king. They have a space navy, and their space navy is pretty cool because they have ships with cloaking technology, and it's actually really, there we go. It's actually really, really good cloaking technology. I don't really have anything to compare their cloaking tech to, but as far as their ship technology, the only close approximation that I can come up with is the Hapen battle dragons, if any of you guys are familiar with those. Yeah, you don't want to mess with them in a space battle, let's just put it that way. It's pretty bad. I don't know if my friend Stefan Card pulled from Anna Harrington at all, but I certainly have. I read a lot of the Anna Harrington books growing up as a teenager, and I have always been absolutely fascinated by them. For those unfamiliar with that series, it is a series by David Weber. It focuses on the main protagonist, Honor Harrington, and it's another spacefaring monarchy with a space navy, called the Star Kingdom of Manticore, and you don't really want to mess with their space navy either. So if anybody is curious about the Honor Harrington series or David Weber or anything like that, definitely look that series up. It's very, very, very good, and I have pulled a lot of inspiration from there. At least for me, when I'm describing the space combat that occurs in the stories, and some of the ground combat too, because they have marine contingents on their ships. So that's where I've been pulling a bunch of that from as well. So yeah, I kind of pull from all over the place. Some of it from my own head, some of it from things that I have read over the years. I'm a pretty voracious reader, so I have read a good portion of the Honor Harrington books, and there's quite a few of them. I don't know how many there are, but they're very, very good for anybody that likes military sci-fi type stuff. Definitely check them out. The author is David Weber. Very, very good source, at least for me, when I'm trying to write space combat, because I have a little bit of trouble with that. Sorry, camera is not focusing. There we go. So it's been really interesting to think about, the sources that I pull inspiration from, and just how long I've been writing in general. Thank you for that question. Actually, it was really, really fun to kind of answer that one. Does anybody else have a question that they would like answered? Please ask away. That's why I'm here. I love to share about my stories, and it's definitely don't want you guys feeling confused or lost about anything that I'm reading. So if anything is confusing to you, please feel free to ask, because it is very, very much fan fiction. So anybody else have any questions? Anybody? It can be any questions relating to the stories that we've been reading, any of the stories that I've written in, general writing process, anything like that. Definitely feel free. Also, let's see. I do have some pretty basic custom commands, so if you want to check those out, you can click that link, or you can check the panels on my About page. I have a few. Nothing super crazy, and I intend to keep it that way, actually, because I want my stream to be cozy. Celia. I kind of already answered that one, Arfax, but I'll answer it again, just for fun. So, definitely, sorry, camera's being a punk. Definitely David Weber, specifically his Honor Harrington series. There are others, but they kind of escape me at this point. I've drawn heavily on his work for a lot of the space combat stuff. Oh, that's a great question. So, um, so yes, if you have short attention spans or anything like that, or if you want to read on your own time, you can find all of my work on Archive of Our Own. I will have to pull the link for you because I don't have it set up as a command yet. I'm being a slacker. So give me 2 seconds while I find that for you. And now that I think about that, I will go set that up as a command in just a second. Because that is a great thing. So let me find that for you. Oh, goodness. Sorry, I'm not on dark mode on AO3. So it's like washing me out. I'm sorry. Okay. Copy. Alright. For anybody that... I'm going to actually pin that in the chat for now. What? It's not letting me pin. Rude. Oh, maybe that's an affiliate only thing. I don't know. But for anybody that's interested and is unable to join us on the stream or would like to read when I'm not live and catch up, you can do so by finding all of my stories on that link. I may actually do I'll add a command with like the link and like the order that the series should be read in. I think it's on my profile, but I want to try and put all of that in there in a command. So, but definitely check that out. Feel free. I believe that I have enabled them all so that they can be read without needing an account. So if some of them are not, please let me know. I did at one point have them locked down because somebody swiped one of my stories and tried to sell it on Amazon for money. So, eyeliner! Oh my goodness, hi! Where have you been, lady? So if you see me reacting like that to people in chat, it's because it's people that I know from other communities or other streams. Most of the people that are currently in my chat are from Stay Life 7's community. I have a handful of other people that I personally know from other streams, so you please feel welcome to come hang out and chat and ask questions. I am just spending a little bit of time answering some questions about my stories. Oh, you're very welcome, Teba. I will turn that into a command, if not tonight, sometime this week. It's on my list of things to do, which is sitting literally right in front of my monitor. So, I will add that as a command. The way you said that, Harfax. I was hanging out in with the Sniper and people that he knows. He's one of my mods, by the way. The Sniper 13. I was hanging out with his some of his friends and people in his community actually before I found Stay Alive 7, so there's probably going to be people dropping in from his friend circle. So please make them feel welcome. It's great to see you, Eyeliner. I know. Yeah. Long story. Yes. I'm actually gonna flip back to oh, you know what? I'll just leave it on focused writing time because that's cute. So, are there any other questions anybody has? Please feel free to ask. It's great to see you, by the way. I'm glad that you dropped by. I do apologize. I will occasionally go into coughing fits. I still am dealing with that a little bit from having COVID in January, so please pardon any of that. I'm not actually sick. It's just a hangover from having been sick. And I do have water, obviously, right here. Maybe I should send Gio a straw for his stream. Oh my goodness! Hi, Really Dicey! Yes, I officially started streaming about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, this is a new thing. I'm actually really enjoying it. Unfortunately, and I know somebody's probably going to ask this because it has been asked before. Unfortunately, I cannot stream any kind of gameplay. My internet can't handle it, and it will probably faceplant. So, please don't ask me to play games on stream. It's not gonna work. By the way, that's my brother-in-law, Really Dicey. So, hi! Welcome to stream! So, I'm glad to see everybody here this evening. And everybody gets to see my fancy new stream layout. It's pretty cool. So, yes. Are you heading back to work, Eyeliner? Please be safe. Actually, yes. Thank you for asking. So, and it's actually quite appropriate, is it not? So I have been looking around for. Okay. So I have spent the last week or so looking around for something for a background because my bedroom is really small and I didn't want everybody to see my bedroom. So so I found a really cool background that's actually a little animated. If you look over my I'm going to move. There we go. If you Sorry, I'm married. If you look over there, it's actually a little bit animated. And there is actually a window behind me in the background that has like planets and stuff. So I found this background and actually the entire stream layout package minus the emotes that I will have on Etsy. So, I don't have them linked in my about page, but I do have their names so that you can look them up if you're curious about the work that they do. I was actually quite pleased when I found both this background and the stream package because it really kind of has the vibe that I was looking for. I like space because I'm a nerd. I like to write sci-fi. And I like to read, so this was actually totally perfect. So yes, it's a space library. I don't know. Can I move so you guys can see the window? I don't know. Maybe. Let me see if I can move so you guys can see the window. Oh. Yeah, kinda. So, cool window. But it's usually behind me, so. But yeah. So I did list the 2 artists on Etsy that I got my work from. They're down on my About page. I think it's near the bottom. If you're curious to check them out, they do some really nice work. You don't have to. But yes. You don't have to whisper. It's okay. It's so much my vibe. I love sci-fi. I love to read. I like to be cozy. So I was really excited when I found this environment because it's just so perfect for the kind of vibe that I was looking for my stream. So we have a library. So here's a question for you guys. And I want you guys to think about this, and please think and put your thoughts in chat. So, currently, our stream is called Storytime with Mesla. Okay? We can keep it that way. Or if you guys have some other ideas, we can come up with a different name with the library theme, if you like. Because this stream and me reading, this is for, I mean, it's for me, obviously, but it's more for you because I'm sharing my work with you because I think it's cool and I think that you'll like it. So. So we can leave it Storytime with Masha if you like, or we could rename the stream if you want. I am still sorting out my kind of vibe and identity on Twitch, so could change. Who knows? And yes, I'm totally repping Stay Alive 7. I hope he's here. I was cold. It was the most convenient sweatshirt, and I like it, so. And I do apologize for the lack of music. I was unable to get it to work today for whatever reason. Usually I have music in the background so that there's a little bit more going on. But today it was not working, so I will have to talk to a couple of people to see if I can get that sorted on the technical side of things. And for those who are curious about the cute little cat that's down here, yeah. Sorry, I'm married, so it's all weird. If anybody's curious about the cute little cat on my screen, that was designed by Celia, who is actually in our chat. And she does some really cute work. So. Yes, it's adorable. I love it. I kind of want to show you guys the other ones, but the other part of me is like, no, I'll leave it a surprise for when I can actually have emotes because they're pretty cute too. But they will definitely involve cats. Not intentionally, I promise. Not intentionally. But yes, there is no need to whisper in here, even though we are in a library. It's okay. I just wanted something kind of spacey, cozy for when we're reading. So. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions about the stream or my writing process or anything related to that I haven't answered already? I don't know if it's gonna let me pin that actually. Rude. No. Yeah, pinning might be restricted to affiliate. It's not working for whatever reason. But I'll work on that. That is something I'm still sorting out some little technical stuff like that. I'm still learning a lot. So does anybody have any other questions? Ooh. Sorry. I was trying to find a raid target for later so that I'm not spending 5 minutes looking for it right as we're ending. So I'm actually going to flip back to chatting. There we go. Bye-bye, kitty. That cat is freaking adorable. So cute. Are there any other questions anybody has? I'm planning to end at 9, so just keep that in mind. I have to go to work in the morning, sadly. Otherwise, I would stay and stream for another 3 hours. But sleep is kind of important. Yeah. Definitely not overrated. But yes, I will definitely work on a couple of stream commands. The one for AO3 is actually a really great idea. Right now, most of my stream commands can be done by anybody. There's a couple that are mod restricted, but most of them are usable by anybody within reason. Please don't abuse them. It's really simple stuff, like we have hug. I can't do anything fancy. Can't have animated ones yet, but of that. Oh no, I'm out of water. Oh no. But I'm really grateful for everybody that came into stream. Thank you. I know it may not be everybody's cup of tea. But so I'm grateful for every single one of you that are here and have taken the time to stop by and hang out. So my next stream is going to be on Wednesday. And I do have the third story in this series is actually a one-shot, so it's not going to take very long to read. So we could continue on to the fourth story on Wednesday, or we could I could do some focused writing time if I can get my music working. I mean, I can hear it, but yeah, I don't think you guys can, so I'm still sorting out why that is. Don't know why. Also, I do apologize if you guys are hearing fan noise or anything like that. I have tried to minimize that as much as possible. I am working on some stream audio things that could use some tweaking, so working on it and kind of playing around with stuff as I can. All right. Also, I think I have clips enabled, so at any point while we're having discussion, you guys can feel free to clip. I don't know if it's restricted to affiliate or not. It may not be. I don't know. But they are enabled, so maybe not right now, but clips would be interesting. I'm not even sure how they I know how they work, but I've never done them on here, so it'll be interesting. We're a little bit early. Does anybody have any other questions related to story or writing process before we call it an evening? Oops. Sorry. That is really bright. No questions. Are you sure? I've answered quite a few though, so maybe I answered all the ones that you guys have right now. All right. Okay, so I think that I'm going to go ahead and end a stream here for the evening. I do have a few things to get done before I go back to work tomorrow. So thank you very much for everybody that came in for story time tonight, or to ask questions, or just to hang out. That's completely fine too. So thank you very much for everybody that came in to join us this evening. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing all of you again on Wednesday as we continue our reading with our third story. Have a great evening, everybody. I am looking for a raid target, so give me just a minute For whatever reason, my list of raid targets is very short. So I am, let's see. Sorry, I'm looking at my live list. Thanks, Tava. I appreciate it. You guys are welcome to join anytime. I'm going to try to do reading, but also some focused writing time if I can. I might alternate between the two, just to kind of do a little bit of variety. Let's see. Ooh. How do you guys feel about rating Mega Queen? She is currently playing Helldivers. I don't know if I know some of you play that. I don't. But she's really cool. She's really, really helpful. She's currently playing Helldivers. She plays Palia, and she's really, really helpful with Palia specifically, but just in general, she's really, really awesome as a person, really chill. So let's go say hi. So give me just a minute and I will get that set up. And I have a really simple raid command, so we're gonna do that. And I'm gonna steal it. Once I have some other emotes and can use different emotes, we'll probably come up with something a little bit more interesting. So, thank you everybody so much for joining me this evening, and I look forward to seeing all of you on Wednesday if you're able to join again. Have a great night, you guys.